Welcome. This is your hometown, right?
No.
No. So are you like a lot of these patients who have flown to see people who have AviClear and that's what got you there? Or how did you end up in this guy's chair?
I mean, my husband, they both fly together actually, and so he's like, you gotta see Dr. Body, and this has been over, 2 years? Mm-hmm. And so then we finally moved here, back and forth between Newport Beach and Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and so we're here. So we were in a transitional phase, and as soon as I got like the notice to we're moving to Chicago, I booked my appointment like a month out.
Terrific.
Honored.
So what made you think about AviClear for?
Actually, she brought up the topic. So is there anything new for acne? And we were actually talking over Instagram, I think,
yeah.
right? And as she mentioned, her husband and I were both pilots and we're good friends, and so he contacted us, and I'm like, yeah, there's actually something very new. Couldn't be any more new, and that's really effective, and you should really look at it. And so that's how the conversation kind of began.
So Courtney, talk to us about your journey. What other products have you been on, and how long has this process been for you?
Great question, and quite a question. I have been on this journey for 6+ years, I would say, in my mid to late 20s. I've never had acne growing up, maybe like a breakout here and there. Competitive cheerleader, dance, college cheerleader, I didn't have breakouts. And then right before I graduated, right after I graduated, my skin started to change. And then that's when I got a big girl job and actually started working in aesthetics. I did marketing and strategic content for plastic surgeons and med spas in La Jolla and San Diego. And that was my ticket in to get lasers at a great cost because I couldn't afford it. And my skin started to change, and I just loved aesthetics. So I had a hit list actually. I was like ProFrac, Halo, microneedling, and I went through them all. Changed my diet, changed my makeup, stopped going out for certain things. I just changed my lifestyle and started slowly becoming like this introvert person, or just really started to plan my life around my skin, which I never have done before. And now that I am 31, I was like, you know what, this is who I am now. I'm not gonna wear that much makeup. I don't wanna wear makeup anymore. I'm just gonna embrace that this is where I'm at in my life. And I was actually at the point where I'm like, I'm just gonna give up a little bit on this and just pause, and maybe something will get invented. Actually, I was at the point where I was like, Dr. Bhatia, I need a laser that attacks the sebaceous gland. I have an overactive one, let's invent it. And he's like, we're already on that. And I'm like, what? So I was actually sitting in his chair ready to go on Accutane. My husband and I just got married in March, and I was like, babe, let's put off having a kid. This is my last plea. This is what I just don't know what else to do. My hands are up in the air, what's next? And then Dr. Body was like, Courtney, you're not gonna believe this. And literally, it fell into my lap that day. I was ready to go to his office to sign up for Accutane.
Yeah. And delay certain things in your life,
yeah.
And it's amazing how it affects so many other parts of your life.
Yeah.
So you mentioned other devices and everything that you've been on before in the past. What's been your experience with those devices? And I think you're only, 2 treatments in, we saw in the video, right? Mm-hmm. What do you notice different about AviClear versus all those other devices you've tried?
So do you want to talk the feeling of the laser?
Anything,
or?
yeah. I think that, the process and the feeling, the procedure itself, and then also just the effect.
So I'll start emotionally. Emotionally, when you get your hopes up, you're like, this is it. This is the laser for me. Time after time after time, and you guys know most treatments, you get a series of 3 or 5. So every time you're like, yes, this is it, this is it. So I think the letdown emotionally was like, oh, I don't know, sure, I'll go and try it, why not? And then leading up to it, I think trying the Halo. There was nothing really that specifically went after acne, and so we just did it to keep the bacteria down, because that ablative lasers or the non-ablative lasers kills that bacteria, and that was my aha moment. That was my only chance to get clear skin. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, what have you noticed so far? You have one more treatment to go, right?
So I have one more treatment, I get my 3rd one tomorrow. And I've noticed just My breakouts have gone down actually quite a bit. I get big cystic ones on my neck, so it's like right under, so it's right here actually is where my biggest problem area is. And I'll get random big ones, but between treatment 1 and 2, I did have that purging. I did have still a little bit of a breakout. I still saw that, but then from treatment 1 to 2, after the first one to the second one, and then even after, even my husband's like, wow, your skin hasn't I'm not super clear, I still have those scars, but I have less frequent breakouts, I don't have to be covering as much, and I'm actually working on other issues now. So not just, oh my gosh, breakouts, now I'm actually seeing some lightening of the skin, and we're working the texture, I'm not constantly hyper-focused on breakouts anymore.
Excellent. I mean, she's an informed patient. So, Dr. Bhatia, anything you'd mention from a medical standpoint or just what you've seen in the transition?
Yeah, I think one of the things that was interesting with you is that, sure, Accutane you could have gone on, right? But some of your acne is even hormonal, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes with people that have hormonal acne, it doesn't necessarily get better with Accutane. And so, we have patients that it's the last resort, and then it's still a bit of a disappointment. I think that's one of the beauties of AviClear is it addresses kind of the final cause of acne, which is sebaceous gland. So it doesn't matter if it's hormonal or if it's, whatever type of acne it is, whatever the cause may be. Once you don't have a sebaceous gland with active sebaceous, you just don't have acne. And so that's one of the things I really love about it is it takes care of that root cause, right? The final reason why you get acne. And so everybody gets improvement with it, and that's really the beauty of it. It's unlike any other tool we have in our tool chest, and you've tried them all.
Yeah.
So except Accutane. So,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well said. Back to Dr. Bhatia then. Talk about, like I said, it seems like you had a very eager patient here.
Yeah.
Talk about what it's been like having AviClear in your practice. Who are you generally pitching it to, and what does that conversion look like?
Yeah, so, like with all devices, at first I start off, I use it myself, and then gradually I get everybody trained, right? So our PAs, the other docs, and now our estheticians are even trained to do it. So it opens up a lot more bandwidth to do treatments in the practice. And as far as using it and the talk track, really, it should be part of every acne consultation you do, because as you know, it's brand new, right? So there's just not that much awareness right now, and so once you bring it up, it's surprising how many people want to know more about it. Does everybody go for it the first time? Not necessarily. Maybe they haven't tried other things yet, or maybe it's something they might have to save up for, or whatever the reason may be. But I think it's important to bring the awareness to it, and so we've trained everybody that sees patients that whenever you talk about acne, write your scripts, do whatever you're normally doing, and say, it's going to take 3 months for it to get better and worse, and then it should stabilize. And at that point, we usually, because nobody wants to wait 3 months, right? And so at that point, we usually say, well, there's also a new laser treatment for it, and it's 3 treatments a month apart, and most people see clearance by the second treatment, and people get intrigued. And if they perk up, then we talk about it more. If not, it was 5 seconds of my time. But I think it's not fair if you don't bring it up, because it's a very legitimate option that's FDA cleared for exactly what the patient's sitting there for. And you're doing them a disservice by not telling them about it.
Yeah, well said. Talk to us a little bit about the value. I don't know what this guy charged you, but talk about the value of the procedure. It seems like you're overall happy with it.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about the non-tangible value of it too. I think the emotional baggage we carry when you have acne is, for me, I will pay 3 times as much as how much I was charged. I think 3 treatments in 3 months or 6.5 years was what I went through. That's just treatments and skincare products and changing my diet, and all these things add up. That's 6 more years. And then the big thing of just Accutane waiting 10 months, that's even if you just go off Accutane and this laser and you compare the 2 value of just our time, because that's something we'll never get back. That right there is priceless. But the charge, I think it was.
So in our practice is $3,600 for 3 treatments. She got 66% discount, so now she's willing to pay 3 times as much.
Yes.
Well, sounds like a laser rep there.
Every one of these guys followed exactly. Every one of them, I know it.
I don't think so. We're not there.
Not your husband.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I think you put it so well. There's and one thing that you mentioned there, the 6.5 years, we're even hearing some physicians saying, as somebody is, post-puberty, we might be hitting them right away there, because any day that we avoid, the catastrophe that is acne is a good thing. And so you have some people thinking about it prophylactically like that, just because if you're downregulating the sebaceous glands, you're going to get that kind of effect. So how's your life been different here just since?
I mean, short term, just thinking there's a light at the end of the tunnel, I think is, again, you're hopeful, right? And this is going to be it. This is my treatment, right? So I'm in that stage of this is my treatment. Like, I've seen results. I've seen, like, the feeling of lightness. I think when you talk about how does the laser feel, there's moments of intensity physically, but when you're going down your soul knowing that this is your chance to live this regular life, and your life is so perfect, skin, not a problem. But it's debilitating, it causes depression. I used to go out and never having acne, and then knowing like, I have to cover this, or maybe I can wear something, or I won't wear my hair back, or just different things of constantly checking yourself on how to present yourself is draining. And so I think like knowing, oh my gosh, I'm getting one step closer, one treatment more, like this is, it's freeing, as I was talking to Ann, it's just freeing to know that I can be done and start working on other procedures like hyperpigmentation or texture issues. So not just focusing for the last 6.5 years on, well, this might work for my acne. Like now I have that treatment and I don't have to be constantly looking in the mirror. Like I would not look in the mirror for the longest time because I look and see and I'm like, gosh, this is just depressing, like, or you have a fun night plan, you go and you're like, well, my outfit looks good, but my face, and I know like we're tough critics on ourselves. Whoopsie, sorry. But I also feel like how draining is it to avoid a mirror because you just don't want to ruin your night. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think right now I'm riding the cloud and I'm excited.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Dr. Batia, the patients that you're seeing that are getting AviClear, are a lot of them like Courtney? Young adults, females? Are you getting more teenagers? What's the approximate patient mix, the interest from the various demographic?
Yeah, I would say it started definitely with patients kind of Courtney's age. I'd say kind of mid-20s and up is where it started, but now we're having more and more kids as well. And a lot of them, we've had some patients that have come in just for oiliness, right? Not even big acne producers, but they came in, the problem was really they don't like the oiliness, having to reapply makeup, blot all the time, and so we have patients that come in for that as well, because when you're destroying the sebaceous gland, you definitely have less oiliness, and I think that's one of the things patients report right away, is that feeling that you definitely are less oily. So, but with, just like you said, the emotional impact, I think I see it more with kids, because you don't know how much it affects them until you talk to them.
Yeah.
And so when they start telling you about their journey, it's amazing. Yeah, it's pretty powerful. Yeah, because they won't tell you, they don't worry about it, especially boys, because they don't put on makeup, and they're like, hey, I'm playing football, go on with my day, but it does affect them. And that's why I love that Richard video that we show, because he was one of the first patients I ever treated, and just what an impact it made on his life.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And I think for teenage boys, it's even more. So, plus teenage boys don't use the medicines you give them most of the time, right?
So are you playing that compliance angle a lot with
100%.
mom in
With
the
mom.
office as well, and
Exactly.
saying you're not going to get him to do anything?
It's a totally different dynamic when you have a mom and a kid,
Okay.
especially the boy in the room. Because there's a couple of things you'll say that'll trigger the boy to be motivated to do it.
What is that?
It's going to clear up your skin, you're not going to get scars.
Yep.
Because no matter what they say and how tough they act, they worry about these things, It's in their mind, it's in the back of their mind at least. And as soon as you bring that up, that this will clear your skin, you don't. And then I say, hey, the beauty of it is you don't have to rely on him to apply medicines and then get them refilled and all this kind of stuff. It's just easy, right? Everybody wants easy. Everybody wants something that's kind of instant. So it's not instant, but it is definitely easy. Takes out that whole compliance angle. And the moms will readily admit, or dad, whoever's bringing them, that, yeah, he's not good about brushing his teeth. You know, I can't get him to do anything, so they forget. So the compliance thing's a big deal.
And what's been the biggest motivating factors for young women? I mean,
Like adult
Teenage girls
Teenage
or-
girls? Yeah, teenage girls. It's just getting the blemishes cleared up, because actually most of them are really good at hiding it, but they don't want to do it. You know, they're good at it, but they definitely don't want to do it. So, you know, the thought of having clear skin and you know, I think there's a lot of peer pressure for flawless, you know, like Photoshop skin, right? Or filtered skin. So I think that's been a big motivator for teenage girls.
and are you generally getting patients that you've already been treating in your practice, and this is something that they're kind of
Yeah.
evolving to, and are they staying on their current medications? How are you handling all that?
So it's a good question. You know, initially we started just talking about it with new acne patients, because you're writing the script, you're going through it. But then we kind of realized that all the patients that already are on topicals and orals and aren't getting the results they want, or maybe even are, if you bring it up there, there's going to be a certain percentage that are going to be interested in it, either because of the ease or the novelty or just the hope and promise of long-term clearance without maintenance.
And to piggyback off that, for me, like, we stopped our whole life to have a family. Like, that's in our bodies. Like, as women, like, not anything against men, but I'm just saying, like, we want to have kids. We don't want to, like, affect our body. Like, it's like, I consider it like a chemo treatment. I don't want it. That was the last thing I wanted to do. And when I heard that, I, like, jumped, because I was like, I don't want to go down that Accutane, but it's such a name brand, and that's all people associate it with. And so to top of mind awareness is going to be AviClear if you can get it out there, because if people just don't know. But when you said that, I was like, huh, what? Like, you know, I was curious, because when you said it's like Accutane as the effectiveness, but I've heard not even Accutane doesn't even have a guaranteed effectiveness. Well, this is like surpasses that to me, because I'm not harming my body
Right.
and stopping a family that I want, you know?
Yeah, imagine going through that process, and I think it's 42% of
Yeah.
isotretinoin users end up having to take another course or don't get clear or whatever it
Yeah.
might be, but yeah.
That gets really challenging, you know, with the fertility issues and things like that, right? So
Yeah.
it can be a real issue, and even oral antibiotics, right? They're a big
Yep.
mainstay of therapy, but you know, the OB-GYNs don't want you on those, and you can't take tetracyclines and stuff during pregnancy. So it really limits your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's, you know, we mentioned the zeitgeist of cash pay medicine and the fact that insurance is getting more and more limited and people are more accustomed to using their own money. The other part of the zeitgeist, we've seen this play out in market research, is non-toxic, non-chemical, you know, the wave of people that want natural products. This fits nicely into that as well, and was, like I said, in market research, just tested out so much more prominently than we anticipated, being that a lot of people have been through the pharmaceutical regimens of things.
Yeah.
So we only have a couple more minutes left, but I just want to ask you, Courtney, so what, you know, we've got all kinds of other aesthetic devices and procedures and stuff like that. You've been in this realm for a long time. What do you, once you get acne in your rearview mirror, what are you most excited about on your kind of aesthetic journey?
I mean, gosh, the options are limitless, right? I mean, where do I want to start? I mean, I love finding out about the body, and the technology is out there. I really just want to keep fine-tuning my skin on my face and the hyperpigmentation, and maybe just enjoy the skin I have and not rush off, but just keep embracing and working on that, you know, and working on loving myself. And the post-healing journey, right, is coping with after and being confident and working on that again, I think, is my next procedure, I would say, with myself.
Wonderful. I know, Dr. Bhatti, we have a lot of people in here who want to sell a lot of systems and are breaking back into dermatology maybe for the first time in a while. If I'm a rep and I place an AviClear device with a dermatologist, I'd probably build up some credibility there.
Yeah.
What's the next logical purchase for, say, a dermatologist who's just getting into the laser game and just got an AviClear? What would be next for them?
Yeah, you know, I think for somebody that's pure medical derm, just their first device is AviClear, they're happy. You know, I think one of the things to definitely think about is the XLV Plus, because it's a great way to clear up the PIH. You know, it may be beneficial to kind of do those laser genesis treatments too, to get kind of more long-term results. So, an XLV Plus, in my opinion, for a dermatologist, it's something I use every day. I turn it on every day. You know, everybody's got something red on them that, you know, angiomas, telangiectasias, whatnot, and you can clean these up very quick and fast, and they can see the value of it very quickly. So I think that would be the next logical step, because it kind of spans between aesthetic and medical as far as the treatment. So it's probably it's kind of the Swiss Army knife of the devices that you have next to the Zeo, I would say. But if you're in a derm office, I would say definitely go with the XLV Plus.
Yeah, terrific. Well, again, Courtney, Dr. Bhatia, thank you so much for being part of this, and thank you for sharing your journey with us. All right. We're going to head to a video.